I've been involved in the music ministry of the church since 1965 when I was 2 or 3 years old. And I've had the privilege and the honor of singing in choirs, directing a youth choir, directing an adult ensemble. I've done it here and I've done it overseas. And I've also participated in praise bands and choirs, and it's just one of the joys of my life to be able to worship through music. You know, one of the things that Paul Major has taught me in his time that he's been here is just his attention to detail and his prayerful attitude and his prayerful approach to song selection and worship song selection, and the way he prepares the choir. As he takes us through each anthem or song or hymn that we're working on, he quotes scripture. He brings us along and lets us know about the text and where that might have come from. And he's just such a minister to us in that way. And so even rehearsal for us is worshipful. We look forward to Wednesday nights and worshiping even as we rehearse. And then Sunday morning, it just all translates. We're prepared. We have great songs to sing and deliver, and our hearts are worshipful. And we don't get so caught up in the logistics and whether the song is going to sound good and I know Paul, he worries about that too, but he worries, not worries, that's not a good word, but he just pays attention to all the fine details. But most of all, he petitions the Lord in prayer for everything that we do in worship on Sunday mornings. So if you're a leader in any area, pray and prepare.
Welcome back to session 3 of our series on worship. Now that we understand worship a little better and have made the case for the importance of worship, let's spend some time thinking about worship in the context of the rest of living. In other words, let's try to answer the question: is worship a part of our relationship with God that goes on continually, or is it a special part of our relationship with God that we prepare for and enter into intentionally and in a regular way? Because we have a tendency to locate worship to a time and place, it takes an intentional effort to prepare and anticipate worship. Worship doesn't begin when we take our seat in the sanctuary or the first chord sounds from the worship band. It ought to actually start long before. As Psalm 100 verse 4 says, "Enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Give thanks to him and praise his name." When you drive into a parking lot, are you already in a mindset for meeting with God? Or are you dragging in all the weights of the week and unprepared for the worship? Those who anticipate worship are the ones who experience it. But it starts happening even earlier. In Psalm 122, verse 1, David says, "I rejoice with those who said to me, 'Let us go to the house of the Lord.'" Encouraging one another and making plans to gather with others for worship is a significant aspect of a living relationship with Jesus Christ. Waiting until Sunday morning to see if I'm in the mood for church is a poor way to say, "I love you, Lord, and can't wait to be with you and your people in worship." Maybe you've never thought about this, but the first 4 commandments of the famous 10 are really God's directions about worship. Like every commandment, these are instructions for our ultimate benefit. Remember that we talked in the last session about realizing that the things God asks of us are not because he needs anything, but because he really knows we need them. Here are the first 4 commandments. Number 1, "I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me." Number 2, "You shall not make for yourself an image in the form of anything in heaven above, or on the earth beneath, or in the waters below. You shall not bow down to them or worship them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the sin of the parents to the 3rd and 4th generation of those who hate me, but showing love to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my commandments." Number 3, "You shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God, for the Lord will not hold anyone guiltless who misuses his name." And how about number 4? Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is a Sabbath day to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, neither you, nor your son or daughter, nor your male or female servant, nor your animals, nor any foreigner residing in your towns. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea and all that is in them, but he rested on the 7th day. Therefore, the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. Each of these commandments not only challenges us to worship God, but also not to substitute other gods or treat God's name and character lightly or carelessly. And we're to set time aside regularly for restful gratitude for God for all his blessings. You'll have a chance to talk about this in a few minutes. There is no specific instruction on how to prepare for worship, but preparing for worship is a way we demonstrate how much we value worship and the chance to love, praise, and thank the one that we worship along with others who are like-minded. As you begin to talk together, share how you personally prepare for worship. At what point in your week do you typically start anticipating being in God's house with God's people? What do you actually look forward to about worship? What do you bring to worship and what do you expect to take away? Enjoy encouraging one another to greater anticipation of worship as you gather now and have these conversations.